Hey, what's up everybody? In this video, I'm going to review Charm Perfume Alice from the Alice in Wonderland series. Her ability description is for a short time, Alice gets smaller and clears surrounding Tsums when cleared. The game demonstration that you're currently watching right now is a skill level 1 game demonstration played with the 5-4 boost on. So let's take a look at her stats. To activate her ability, you're going to need to clear anywhere between 20 to 25 copies of her off the screen. Her little charm also counts as well, so if you clear any of the perfume bottles or Perfume Alice off the screen, that's going to count towards the number that you need to activate her ability. So 20 to 25 depending on which skill level you have her at. It's not too bad because she will generate bubbles as well. You're likely going to be able to get back into ability time relatively quickly. Her minimum score is 70 with a maximum score of 1001. And when you factor in her ability and how many Tsums you could get cleared off the screen, it's actually not too bad. You technically can use Perfume Alice to get a pretty high score, but you will need to use her at skill level 6 and you will need to play relatively quickly. Perfume Alice is one of those Tsums where you need to be able to make long chains relatively quickly, so if that's not your style, then you're not likely going to want to use Charm Perfume Alice to get a high score. So let's take a look at her abilities. Every single time you level up her skill level, there are two components that will change, and they're going to change at the same time. So every single time you level up her skill level, the duration of the skill is going to increase by 0.6 seconds, and then the amount of Tsums that's needed to charge up her ability is going to decrease by 1. So at skill level 1, her ability is going to last a total of 3 seconds, and you need a total of 25 Tsums to activate her ability. But when you get her to skill level 6, you're going to have an ability time of 6 seconds, and you're only going to need to clear 20 copies of her and her perfume off their screen. So at skill level 6, it's going to be very powerful, and it's going to be significantly better than skill level 1. And before I go any further, if you guys are enjoying this type of content where I review Tsums, do monthly leaks, go over the selection box, and pick up capsules, please consider subscribing to this channel. Your subscription is greatly appreciated. And if you guys are looking for a community of other Tsum Tsum players where you could chat about the game or ask for help, consider scanning this QR code on the screen and join the Discord server. Alright, now let's take a look at Charm Perfume Alice and all 6 of her skill levels, starting with skill level 1, 2, and 3. So at skill level 1, her ability is going to last 3 seconds, and you're going to need to clear a total of 25 copies of her off their screen. Skill level 2, 3.6 seconds for the ability time, and you're going to need 24, which is 1 less of skill level 1. And then skill level 3 is going to last 4.2 seconds but need 23. So again, 1 less Tsum than the previous skill level and 0.6 seconds more of ability time every single time you level up her ability. So now let's talk a little bit about her strategy. Just like the other two perfume Tsum, what you want to do is you want to use the overcharge effect to decrease the amount of Tsums that's needed to charge up her ability for the second go around. If you do it perfectly and you do it right, this could decrease the amount of Tsums needed to charge up her ability by 25% or even more, depending on how many Perfume Alice you clear off the screen or her charm. And the second tip I have for you guys is during the ability time, try to watch where the Alices are, and when they get smaller, try to clear chains in those exact area. But if you cannot spot them relatively clearly, then I would just recommend you to try to make really long chains as much as possible. You ideally want to go for really long chains versus very small chains for short periods of time, because you do want to try to make those special magic bubbles. Either they're score bubbles or time bubbles. Especially the time bubbles are very helpful. Extending the game can earn you a lot more coins per game. And I found that Charm Perfume Alice is actually a really decent time bubble maker. So if you don't have a good time bubble maker, Charm Perfume Alice can be an option. I've noticed that I was able to successfully make a good amount of time bubbles with this Tsum, so if you don't have one, this may be a good option. And then finally, the third tip I have for you guys is immediately after the ability time is over, try to burst those special magic bubbles off their screen. By doing that, you'll be able to recharge your fever bar and also recharge your skill meter as well. That way you'll be able to get back into ability time relatively quickly. And again, you definitely want to keep pressing the skill button because you want to make sure you're also using the overcharge as much as possible. Now the next thing I want to show you guys is a side-by-side comparison of the abilities activated at the same time. First, I'm going to play this in full speed, and you'll notice that at the top section of the screen it turns yellow during the ability time, and when the ability is over it does flash off. So I'm going to play this in slow motion here and talk you through what's actually happening and what I'm doing. So when you activate the ability, the animation is going to remain the same between all 6 of the skill level. And here the Alice, or the Perfume Alice, will get smaller along with her perfume. So you want to pay attention there and spot where the Perfume Alices are, and you want to make chains in those areas. Now the second thing you want to do is you want to try to make long chains as much as possible and try to go across the screen. So whether go from bottom to top, top to bottom, left or to the right, essentially you want to just go across the screen as much as possible, because her ability will burst surrounding Tsums, so you want to aim for that and try to clear as many Tsums as possible. And then again, immediately after the ability is over, you want to burst those magic bubbles to get yourself either back into fever time or charge up your meter. So you want to keep an eye out on the fever bar, and if you are noticing that your fever is about to run out, then you might want to just wait slightly longer before you burst those bubbles, because bursting those bubbles will immediately, or bursting 3 bubbles will immediately get you back into fever time. Moving on to skill level 4, 5, and 6. And in my opinion, these higher skill level are more fun, especially because the ability time lasts a lot longer. At skill level 4, the ability time will last 4.8 seconds, needing 22 Tsums to activate the ability. Skill level 5, the ability is going to last 5.4 seconds and need 21 Tsums to activate the ability. And then finally, at skill level 6, the ability time is going to last 6 seconds and you only need 20 Tsums to activate the ability. So a lot longer than skill level 1. It's going to be double the ability time, because at skill level 1 you only get 3 seconds, and at skill level 6 you get a total of 6. Now the strategy is the same, and actually becomes more important to use the overcharge for skill level 6 because you're going to need a lot less Tsums to activate the ability. So in theory, you're going to be able to activate a lot more abilities at skill level 6 compared to the lower skill levels. And then making the long chains is also going to be crucial because at skill level 6 you're going to be able to generate a lot more magic bubble. And you'll notice that for this Tsum you do need to play really fast because you're going against the clock. At skill level 6, the ability time is going to be 6 seconds, so you definitely want to try to get as many chains in as possible in those 6 seconds, and ideally you want to make them long and also near the Parade Alice. And I just realized I forgot to mention a pretty crucial part about her ability. During the ability time, when you are clearing Tsums that's touching the small Alice, it will burst those Alice and her perfume as well. So that's why it becomes pretty important, or becomes pretty crucial, to burst Tsums that are touching the Alices or the perfume, because it's going to increase the length of your chain. So that's why I recommend you to clear near the Perfume Alice, because it's going to increase your actual chain. Now the next thing I want to show you guys is a side-by-side comparison of the abilities activated at the same time at these higher skill level. So very similarly, I'm going to play this in full speed, and you could always use the top of the screen to figure out if you are still in ability time or not. It's bright yellow for this one, so it's very easy to tell. As you see here, skill level 4 is going to end first, and then 5, and then 6, because it's longer for skill level 6. So again, what you want to do here is you want to use the overcharge. So you see there at skill level 4 and 5, I already have partially of my skill already charged up, and that's what you want to aim for. And skill level 5, you see there a lot of Alices were turned smaller, so you want to try to make really long chains there as much as possible. But in this case, I was only able to make a chain of 19, which is not bad because I only connected about 7 or 8, and you want to keep this going. And as you see there at skill level 4, I made a bunch of time bubbles. Like I mentioned earlier, I find that Charm Perfume Alice is a pretty good time bubble maker. And then once the ability is over, I do recommend you to make one chain of Alice and then burst bubbles immediately. If you don't make a long chain of Alice, that's okay as well. But ideally, you want to burst those bubbles as quickly as possible to try to recharge your meter for the skill as well as your fever bar. So ultimately, that's what you want to do, is you want to try to activate as many abilities per game and as quickly as possible. So overall, I think that Charm Perfume Alice can be a really fun and challenging Tsum to use. However, if you are a slower player where you struggle to make really long chains, or if you have like a device that's a little bit smaller screen, then it might be a little bit more difficult for you to play fast and accurately. I've mentioned in previous videos that I play with my thumb, and actually this is really difficult to make accurate connections. So I might need to switch to playing with the stylus where it's a lot easier to make chains more accurately. But because I play with my thumb, it's not very accurate, therefore these type of tsums are not going to be the best for me to use. But if you are a player that can make really long chains relatively quickly, then this is going to be a really good tsum for you to use. Alright, now let me show you the results for all 6 of these gameplays. And one thing I do want to mention is that I did replay my skill level 6 gameplay, so it is going to be different than the initial video that I did release. But if you take a look at skill level 1, I ended up with 3.4 million points and only 1,507 coins, so nothing too exciting there. It's not until skill level 3 where I would recommend you to use the 5-4 and coin boost. I was able to get 2,844 coins there with 6.9 million points. And then after replaying Charm Perfume Alice for a little bit and kind of played it in a way where how you should be, like playing it fast and effectively, I was able to get into the 5,000 marker and actually mess up the very ending of the skill level 6 gameplay. So I think that if I played it perfectly, I would have been able to get into the 5,200 marker. That's probably more representative of what she's capable of, and especially if you could play a lot faster, I do think that 6,000 is a good potential as well if you are a fast player and can make chains really quickly. So that's my review of Charm Perfume Alice. I hope that you guys found this video helpful or at least entertaining, and if you would like to see more Tsum Tsum content just like this, don't forget to subscribe, and as always, thank you so much for watching.